So I've got two 56-degree wedges in my hand. This is mine, and this is more like what Scotty Scheffler uses. Now, in his defense, a little bit better than me with his pitch shots, but I'm gonna hit one with each and show you why I should be using this and not this. Right, so I've got a little 40-yarder, not my strong distance. So 56-degree wedge. That's pretty typical, big divot. Distance control's not bad, but a bit left. But you see there, lots and lots of interaction with the ground. As long as I hit the ball first, that's fine. But sometimes I'm a bit out and I really get punished with that. So we can see the divot there, fairly chunky. You're not falling down it and disappearing. But now, club, bit more bounce, like a lot of the top players are using. Let's use the same technique and see how different the shot is. Much more nipped. Just grips nicely. And we can see there, even though there's a little divot, much shallower, and it's really down to how that club's interacted with the turf, much more how I like. So I think you've probably heard that bounce is a golfer's friend. And what we saw for those first two pitch shots is the extra bounce for me stops the club digging too much into the ground. Now, I do appreciate part of that is technically I'm not great with my pitching. So what I tend to do is from a decent setup position, backswing's good, but I tend to drag the handle a little bit too much. Now, I am working on that, and obviously the feel I want is that I almost want to feel that the shaft lean impact is very much the same as it is at address, rather than having way more and taking the bounce off. But it's always nice having something in the bag that even if the technique's out a little bit, you still get away with the shot. So if I just throw another couple down and don't worry too much about how far these go, just watch how this club interacts with the turf. Notice how it doesn't dig. So straight away there, I've got a much better opportunity. Now that was a bad technique one, but that's suddenly a foot from the hole, which is great. Now, like I said, technique wasn't great. I've dragged the handle. So the next one I want to feel much more like the club, for me, feels like it overtakes through the bottom. And once we get in there again, not great technique, but a really good result. Now, this is the key. Look how bad that divot is, even with lots and lots of bounce. Now with mine there, the club would have almost dug into the ground, and if my strike's a tiny bit out, I end up hitting it halfway. So like I said, for these pitch shots, it's great if you've got fantastic technique, but if the best players in the world are using more bounce because their technique might fail them, isn't it something we should all consider having in our bags? Now, potentially the bunker shot is the one where a lot of bounce could be negative. So there's a little bit of sand in here, not lots and lots. So if I were to open the club face, we can see how that 14 degrees becomes very excessive. So I'll hit my first one with an open club face, and bear in mind everything about the setup of this club now doesn't want to dig, but it still came out pretty well. But any more compact than that with the sand, and that club's going to struggle that little bit. But the very simple one is then don't have the club wide open, have the club more square, so there's less bounce there. And then once you've set up with a squarer club face, take a bit of speed out the swing. You see how that one just came out a little bit quick, but again, we saw a deeper divot when we squared the club face up than we did when we opened. But all in all, I do think every golfer should have at least their 56 or 60 degree with lots and lots of bounce, so you don't have to be as good with your technique to make sure you get nearer the hole and get those scores down.